You phrased it this way, the trauma bond withdrawal, because you know that for those of you who followed me for a while, know that I compare this to an addiction. And when we talk about an addiction, people who struggle with a heroin addiction, what a lot of people don't know is that that a lot of the reason why they relapse is not because they really want to do drugs. I mean, sometimes that's a part of it, but a lot of it has to do with the fact that they don't like the feelings of feeling sick. They don't like the pain. They don't like the hurting, the puking, the up all night, the sweats, all of that, right? And so they feel like they need to get back on heroin to alleviate the pain, even if it's for a temporary fix. Well, with the trauma bond, need to do three different things. Number one, by far and away, you have to be absolutely no contact. And what that means is that, number one, you're not looking at their social media. Number two, you have to protect your gateways, right? Your eyes, your ears, your mouth. You should be no contact if you don't have any children. You should be low contact if you do. Because if you're talking to them too much, what happens is that they're still messing with the same parts of the brain that deals with addiction. They're going to say all the right things. They're going to do all the right things. And you guys may have heard me give the analogy of people who are struggling with the heroin addiction when they run into their dealer. What do? Right? They say all the right things. They do all the right things to get them back, to get them hooked again. Right? Same thing here. So you have to protect your gateways. That might even mean for at least a period of time, not going to the same restaurants that you guys used to frequent. Not going to the same areas that you guys used to frequent where you guys might have been known as a couple, where people are saying like, oh, where's so-and-so? Where's Johnny? Where's Susie? Right? And are going to consistently remind you of things, right? Taking down the pictures, taking down the things that are bringing up past memories that are causing euphoric recalls. The other thing that's important, right? And I'm going to plug my support group, Wounded Healers. Right, to begin to talk about this, to be able to not only journal, but to be able to get this out in the open, to talk about it, right? But not just with anybody. When you talk about it with your friends and your family, if they don't get it, they're going to say all the right things that they think that are going to help you, like, oh, maybe you should call them, just talk to them, maybe you guys can work it out, because they don't like seeing you in pain, and that is completely the wrong message that someone in your situation should hear. So you want to talk to people who are like-minded, who are dealing with the same type of things. That's the reason why Wounded Healers exists. I tell people you need three people. You need a person who is a little bit further down the healing journey than you are, pulling you up. You need someone right along the same lines as you are, encouraging you. And then also a part of your healing becomes when you meet someone in a group like this, and they are dealing with something that you've dealt with before, and you're able to warn them, you're able to tell them the dangerous road that they're going down, and you're able to pull them out, right? And you actually help them before they ever get into any more trouble, right? Or get further down that road that you went down. And that becomes very healing for you. The third thing, I'm sorry, I almost forgot about the last thing. Write down all the reasons why you needed to leave to begin with, all the abuse, all of the terrible things. And when one comes back to memory, write it down and keep that with you in your wallet, in your purse, in your phone. And what happens is that when you write things down, like, so a lot of times I'll do this with people who I'm working with. We'll do it right in the middle of session, and oftentimes I'll ask them on a scale from 1 to 10, where, how bad are you missing them? How bad are you feeling guilty? This works with guilt as well. And they might be at a 7, they might be at a 5, or they might be at a 10. And we will write down, and I'll have them read to me all the reasons why they wanted to leave to begin with. What happens is after they're done, guess what? Every single time they're down to a 0. Because we feel our emotions in our body. And quite often, if we're not dealing with them, if we're not processing our emotions, what happens is that feeling can become very overwhelming. And that's what happens with the trauma bond. It becomes very, very overwhelming. And when you have that overwhelming feeling, you feel like you need to do something about it. You don't. You don't have to attach to every single emotion that comes through. You know, there's days where I get pissed off. I want to punch someone in the face. I'm not going to do it because I know how to regulate and know how to process my emotions, and then I handle it appropriately. So going back to them or calling them is handling it inappropriately. The appropriate way is to practice mindfulness, kind of like with some of the things that I'm talking about. So with journaling is a mindfulness practice, right? And that's the reason why this helps. Because when you're feeling guilty or when you're feeling a lot of anxiety about missing this person, or you're going through the grief process about this person, your mind is like going elsewhere. Mindfulness is the practice of being very centered and grounded and being very present. And when you write all those things down of all the reasons why you wanted to leave to begin with, all of a sudden your mind is like, oh yeah, I almost forgot. Now I know why I wanted to leave to begin with. It reminds you. There's something else about, I've actually haven't shared this online before. There's another part of the trauma bond that a lot of people don't understand. A lot of the reason why you have that trauma bond is because naturally, like let's just talk about a healthy relationship. Let's say that a healthy relationship, the two people split and you have children and you just had a bad argument, right? Not narcissistic, not abusive, anything like that. The reason why your brain starts to switch is because naturally, right? So as a mother, as a father, you guys are caretakers, and you naturally gravitate to want to fix and repair the relationship because you want to make sure that your assets are protected, you want to make sure your kids are protected, and so your natural instinct starts to kick in. That works for a healthy relationship, but in an unhealthy relationship, you have to remind yourself that that place was actually dangerous, right? And so you have to kind of, I don't want to say rewire, but you have to remind yourself that of what the situation was actually like.